we'll have to see what they're going to be doing in the draft. Let's actually take a look at the full draft again and see what the potential options are here, because, you know, we've got to keep in mind there's still a lot on the table, right? 5 other choices. Maybe wee little Joan comes out. Instead, it looks like it's going to be the Byzantine-English matchup, so likely we're heading to good old dry Arabia.
Yeah, Arabia or Cliffs, but looks very Arabia-esque. So yes. Dragevann on Byzantines. Thoughts, expectations? Which contract?
I mean...
No, I mean, it's Dragevann. He's going for the neutral market.
No, that's Anna's hand. You know, like, Dragevann move to me would be he goes Keshix, which is wild.
I mean, against English, it's not bad, because, like, if you're going to be stuck with a feudal English player for longest time, Byzantines does have a hard time dealing with men-at-arms.
I'm curious, though, you know, you've got to keep in mind Blid. He said he likes to follow the fleur things, kind of how the meta works. He'll try to be aggressive. Does he just play the standard 2cc English build here?
I mean, I hope not, because as I pointed out earlier, I don't particularly enjoy that. I still think it's probably the best option in like 95% of matchups.
It's safer, right? It's still very strong. You don't really give anything up, it feels like, is the wild part about it. And it raises the question, Dragevann, you want to be creative, you want to be different. Does he mirror 2TC? Does he do the good old classic fast castle? Or is he going to remind us that feudal is OP because it's time to get ready for game number 2? Now remember, Dragevann, he played meta. He done the expected. But what we're hoping now, I don't want to say clown carring, but maybe something a little bit off the sleeve.
Let's see what he's cooking for us.
So Blid spawning on the south side with the English in the green, and Dragevann on the Byzantines, the purple. Just feels fashionably appropriate here. Now, looking at the spawn here, if you're thinking about this matchup, longbows can happen on both sides. The first thing you're looking for is exposure points here, right? Like, Dragevann got a phenomenal spawn for berries.
Those double wood lines there also helping.
Meanwhile, the gold is front spawning. So if Dragevann wants to tech, he could be punished. Blid, on the other hand, has got a retractor location, mass berries, deer. Obviously, don't want the berries, but you know, I do like this idea of trying to loose the TC towards the second tree line and the deer, so that you don't have to rush farms as much. Like, if your goal is ultimately fast castle, that could get you there a lot quicker.
I mean, I'm looking at this Byzantine spawn. I see the forward berries, I see the gold on the side, the wood line is in between. I would like to run at this.
Just full monkey noises, send it, right? Council hall and go. You could you reckon you just council hall this?
I mean, I can definitely see it working, and Byzantines does have an option there. Like, they're pretty weak early. If you can hit them like before the 6-minute mark, they need to wait for the first merc to arrive. Then they kind of can hold it, and then they just scale and scale and scale. But before that, like, this could have been villager rushed. Let's just put it that way.
All right, now you're getting out of hand, all right?
I am. There's also the fact that the wood line is in between, so you can't just move over every single time.
I think the interesting thing to me about like the council hall player here is like you should be able to outscale those initial lombos, and it's just like, realistically, can you get enough horsemen together if you're Byzantines here, right? Like, it almost feels like you inherently try to do something that's a bit more bulky, like maybe archer lombos. Like, I remember watching Delhi get beaten by Byzantines doing that type of comp. It sounds weird, but like realistically, English are least likely to put horsemen here. So we'll have to see. Grand Winery is giving away the backside. Really nice area in general amidst the 2 tree lines. This is a nice play out because with being a back spawn, the tree lines being nearby. Sometimes against English, you can't just rush in the groves. But here, it's kind of just free real estate.
Okay, I'm a little sad, but he's also building the abbey before, so at least the king will be early, right?
I mean, there are some all-in feudal type king builds that were lurking around. I think Wham and Poppypaw discovered those very early. Funnily enough, the play on the other side.
How much do they feature stone though?
Yeah, okay. I was living in La La Land. It could still be an outpost right now. We're going to be getting the 2TC play, so Blid. Just playing it safe. It means Dragevann gets to do what he wants. If he scouts this early as well, might not feel too threatened, right? Like sometimes you see a Byzantine player has to drop like an outpost on the berries. Maybe he just settles on a small wall between the 2 tree lines. Like realistically, that north side of his base is very easily defendable with just palisades. And I'd be surprised if Blid adds anything but the king in the first 10 minutes of play. The question mark is who wins if this does turn into a fast castle, fast castle.
I mean, I'm just going to quote Marine Lord here. This is a very even matchup. Sorry, I can't do the French accent. I really don't want to.
This is a very even matchup. If a player can take it, you score in the apes of Rangen and you ape with middle ons.
Nice.
Έτοιμος.
I don't know why I always do that. I love his accent.
I may or may not have baited you into that.
Yeah, I take the bait too easily. By the way, people, reminder, that prize pool has been going up. We are still raising more money for the players. Everything that you donate there is going into the prize pool for players. So keep donating. And let's see who gets paid out the biggest. I mean, the crown is wonderful, but it is also nice to be able to afford a cape to go with that crown.
It's true. Maybe in your national colors too. Do we just drop the players in the flags?
Do we just put the flags on?
I feel like we should do that.
And then give them a torch and let them set fire to the other one. No, okay, we can't do that.
Yeah, that might be rough. Which flag do we give demo though?
Oh, you know what? It's a magic trick, right? So he picks up the Sweden flag and it burns, but then it reveals a British flag underneath, you know? It's like a bait and switch. Or maybe the British flag reveals a Swedish flag.
Did you see Couch just scold at us from the outside room there?
No, it wasn't a Norwegian flag, chill. So we have got the Limitana, and I wondered if he was going to do this. This is a bit funky, right? Like, anytime you're building Spearman against English, sure, it's a 2TC build, but you still feel weird about it. Like, Longbows is always a looming threat here.
Yeah, going into that, I mean, we did see Valdemar go for a lot of Limitana yesterday. It didn't work out so well. Doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. And
but
there is a cavalry
knights.
unit here.
Yeah, that was expecting mass knights, remember. A very different situation. The interesting part is, like, Dragevann, if he's going to play Hunker Down, could he not just play... Oh my god, dude, he's doing 2TC.
I mean, you do get that stone for free, and it's a good choice.
Not just for free, that was active gathering, so we've got second TC. I was about to say, usually the play here is you outpost the Grand Winery area and just play for that fast castle macro, right? Instead, Dragevann wants to turn this into a full eco war. Feels like he's got an edge there.
Yeah, this is going to turn into a dangerous situation for him, though, because now he's stuck in feudal with English. Depending on if they want to stay there when I see all of those villagers on the gold.
But hear me out, olive groves are OP.
Olive groves are pretty good.
And the longer you play feudal, you're going to add in more citizens inherently, which means you're going to scale a bigger eco lead than the English. So it feels like the English player is the one that wants to get out of that age sooner rather than later.
And they can do that really easy because basically, do you even have to produce military? Of course, it depends on timing, but Dragovann's TC I feel like was slightly late.
And King's already
Where's the Limitane though?
The Limitane is on a coffee break right now. I think he was actually guarding the Grand Winery. So Dragevann, luckily for him, Blid, a little bit mass micro there. I think he was hunting for the injured villager. So Dragevann able to get the town center up on the gold and on the wood line, which fully indicates he wants Castle Age, right? There's no other reason you'd lock this in on gold.
No. He's also feeling secure. Like, the winery's in the back. If you just wall up the top side next to the wood line, you're fairly secure there.
So if this turns into a Castle Age race, doesn't English have, like, an inherent advantage, right? Because you just kind of spam knights, take mid-map control. You can try to do Varangian on the other side as Byzantines, but, like, knights initially can kind of swat that away. And you can't dive a white tower with 10 Varangian.
I feel like this is very much timing based. If Blid just legs it up to Castle Age and can get a decent attack timing here on Dragevann, who's basically only just aged up, then hey, that's great. But other than that, like if Dragevann can also get to Castle, can get his upgrades in, I feel like this just turns completely even again.
Horticulture coming very early for Blid. Dragevann, yeah, to really touch the eco techs. Obviously, you know, went wheelbarrow instead. I like that Blid didn't. Like that's kind of the frustrating thing with the English is they can just get away without wheelbarrow because once they have set up that second TC, you can pretty much just on one screen show where English will spend the next 10 minutes with their economy.
Yeah, he did run out of sheep, so he's never mind. There's one back behind his TC. He got the berries close. It's always a bad feeling. You would rather be on those deer, but without the wheelbarrow, might not be worth.
That's also cool from Blid, right? Like you see, he was doing a plus with the farms. Because I think it's technically more efficient to do those positions than do the corners, right? Because if you do the corner, you're potentially further away from a mill because you have one corner, whereas on average, you have double the area that you could finish a gather on to then drop off the mill close by. And King. Whoa!
The King of England picks up 1 kill and survives comfortably on 2 HP.
Comfortably. He's
Look,
like,
it was
worry,
calculated.
Mate. Oh, you know what it was? He's like, we have NHS. Right, just check that King now. He's not going to be as injured as he once was. And it's all free. Meanwhile, Dragevann. What?
You know, I was making a joke when I was going for that trade post, but there is a Desert Raider in the queue, and we're playing against English.
Now, here's the interesting thing, though. A Desert Raider counters out the King. It's actually the perfect counter. Like, English versus Ibex.
100% great against the King. Let's see if there's anything else coming out of Blid here.
This maybe makes it uncomfortable to just open knights in castle as well if you're Blid. I mean, like, they can overwhelm, sure, but they're going to take more damage in return. It's definitely a peculiar one. I think, you know, Dragevann, my only issue is when you invest like that into Desert Raiders, you want to be able to do some eco damage early as well. Where do you strike to do eco damage here?
Well, you know, there's the English town center, and there's an English town center.
Oh, that's true. We should just dive that. With no ranged armor.
You see, we're just gonna wait until they move out to the deer. Wait, it's English. Oh, you know, I don't have all the answers. I'm getting there. There's one farm that is exposed. A singular farm.
And Dragevann, look at this tech timing. Blid, dude, this is kind of sick. Blid went really greedy with the farms, going 3 farm clusters. Dragevann has the timing. You have to remember, at the end of the day, mirroring that TC, the thing that makes it really nice here is the cistern on top of it all, right? Buffing your eco by bare minimum 10% gives you that edge, and it means he can now rush up with the Golden Horn Tower before Blid even begins his own tech.
I do enjoy playing 2 TCH. I mean, Byzantines with cisterns.
The true Roman Empire, I'll have you know.
It's absolutely true. Not as holy.
You know, like Byzantines didn't call themselves Byzantines, right?
What did they call themselves?
The Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire.
Did they really add the Eastern, though?
I think that was like a classification. They just eventually the Roman Empire. Like, I'm going to be a history nerd here, but it was actually German historians that dubbed the Byzantine title because they needed to make sure there was only one true successor to the Roman Empire, the HRE. All right, nerd done. White Tower now on the way. Golden Horn Tower about to prep, but we only have 1 racks down.
Wait,
usually you want
where's
2
that
to 3.
White Tower going up?
Whoa.
What is this?
Okay, so you know that whole point I made of like how Varangian can't dive the English base?
They can. They totally can, because there's no White Tower in the English base. It's actually...
I guarantee Dragevann didn't just queue up horse archers. That's the Golden Horn Tower trolling, right? No, wait.
He does have 800 oil, so...
Oh, sorry, there's a Magadai, right? Yeah, there's a Magadai.
I was going to say, wait, horse archers are the knight contracts.
That's my brain was like, horse archers are like vet. He must be queuing them. No, this is Magadai, so... A weirder comp developing for Dragevann. Not fully intentional.
Wait for him to put a Merc outpost on that other neutral market, just so he has more choices.
Well, you got some Chuganu down there, maybe. Just get all the range units. There we go. There's the triple racks I was waiting for. Ooh, needs a second cistern here, though, right? Missing out on a lot of production in that area. I think only maybe 2 of them are in range of it. It does have a very small influence. 4 farm cluster now for Blid. I'm worried. Like, what is the goal with that White Tower? He's actually going into Men-at-Arms here.
Men-at-Arms and Knights. I mean, this is a good choice if his opponent just goes for the full Varangian Send It. And he's probably, very likely, eventually going to get some crossbows out.
You know, maybe the Desert Raiders kind of confused him. Though. It's like, why would you get crossbows here? I mean, just build Lombos if I want to kill these Desert Raiders. Speaking of which, Lombos on the way to Dragevann. In the nicest way possible. When I look at Byzantines at 12 minutes with all those units, this is the most Dragevann Byzantine build I'd expect, right?
This is a very beautiful production queue. I do like the 2 monks that are in there, though. I really enjoy them, and Blid does not seem to like to match that.
No, and because he went Men-at-Arms instead of Knights first, he doesn't have a blocker. Like, he's delayed on getting in position to stop relics being grabbed. That's a big deal, because you have to remember, Dragevann can pump that into more olive oil. And funny thing is, if you're just going to mass Men-at-Arms like this, Landsneck is pretty damn effective for the Byzantines.
No, there's also the thing, like, I hear Beastie talk about this, but he does build the extra mosque and just drops them for the gold.
For Varangian spam, right?
Yeah, because you need the gold more than you need the oil. Speaking of oil, he has 1,000. Is it like paralysis because he has too many options?
What? Is he going to rush Imp?
I mean, he's sitting on a lot of food, but that was a theme in the last game as well.
I was about to say, I was getting flashbacks to some NA builds where like you sell all the olive oil to get fast techs, and it never worked, right? So like he is going to reinvest should be more. Wait, he just cancels. What are we doing? He can't rush Imp. He might.
Watch him. Watch him.
He's floating 2,000. Landsnecks have been reinvested in. What we have to, like, the thing that makes me doubt is we have to remember Dragevann kind of had this last game as well with the Roost, where he's floating an average 600 to 700 food in feudal age, right? So mathematically, this is just the Castle Age equivalent.
Yeah, we're just scaling up the floating. So in Imperial, we technically have 4,000 at all times.
It does worry me that, you know, I like that Dragavann's kind of playing, well, this game one was very meta. This is a bit more unorthodox of the approach. But the macro is a bit concerning, right? Like, the amount of Varangian you could have right now versus what you're fielding is kind of wild.
There's a big difference, but if we look at Blid's army count, it's not where it's supposed to be. He's sitting on 1,000 wood, and he also has 0 blacksmith upgrades at this point in time.
Oh, wow, and Berserk just got activated there, so Dragavann feeling confident he can just swarm over the knights quick enough. Works out. Monk also getting blocked out here. We could be on our way to a 5 relic game because Blid, that's the only monk he had out, and he's not playing for the safe relic behind his base yet.
Yeah, Blid just spent a lot of wood. I'm just assuming he's scaling more farms, more farms, more farms. And his food income is impressive. Like, he's sitting on 1,600 per minute. Dragevann can't even compete, and he also has mass farms.
Interesting thing about going for teardrop shield, it kind of offsets armor clad, right?
Kind of does. Extra attack speed is really good here.
Yeah, like, cause I'm trying to remember, is it a 15% increase?
Should be.
And you're 13 base damage.
And then you Berserk.
I mean, even without Berserk though, because you get 2 melee armor, right? And a 15% DPS increase on 13 base damage. Like, if you think about it, like, realistically, you should be hitting hard enough to almost completely offset that melee armor.
I'm thinking about it, you offset the melee armor, but then the English starts glowing, and suddenly they have 20% extra attack speed.
Just don't let, mate. Just keep pressuring them because we've got an issue here. Look at the gold spawns. Blid. He has to win in this area, otherwise he could end up starved out.
Yeah, currently, he does not have the army to win this. There's 27 Varangian out, there's Landsnack mixed in there. There's 6 Mangudai on the field. Okay, let's not go there.
He's going to win against English with Mangudai and Desert Raiders. That's the statement you want to make. That is a clickbait statement for YouTube right there. Varangian will not die of the White Towers. The one way you could end up losing this, they do turn around for the fight up against the attack speed, but realizes quickly there's no reason to go in that hard. Meanwhile, Blid, he's macroing up for Castle, but unless he can start finding some extra gold to gather here, for Imp, it's not going to be realistic.
Yeah, he needs to start selling food at this point in time. And
gold
the crossbows are coming out, but they're coming out slowly. And he did build production in the front. Dragavann's already here with his Mangudai.
And 7 Landsnack as well. Men-at-arms aren't reliable anymore. Crossbows can somewhat snipe out, but they're not grand at it. And the bigger worry here is like Dragavann, and I'm hoping he realizes it, at this point, capture the Sacred Sites. Because then Blid can't just camp on this white tower and get away with it. There's the ring of the bell, so starts to move over to it now. Weird trickle troops here from Blid. And I wonder, yeah, I think Dragavann, he's realized, if your white tower is on the left...
What's on the right?
Only one way to find out. Dive comes in, he will at least see the walls on the backside, so he won't sneak in that easily, but this many Varangian could just shut him down. Luckily for Blid Boy, he's got 3.5k food already there, so idling up the farms shouldn't kill him instantly here.
It's gonna be fine. I mean, basically, Blid at this point, he can't really win a direct fight. He needs to turtle up, sell enough food to get to Imperial.
And then he has to do the thing that I hate seeing. He has to go Berkshire. You can't.
You know, there's this giant hole where the White Tower probably should have been dropped in the middle of those farms.
You know, that might, or you just pick on the right side of the base.
You could also do that, and you have two towers to watch your economy die from.
No, there's no way Dragevann would just walk all the way around the south side of your base with his over twice as large army.
Look, he's on 177 pop against 121. This does not indicate anything. We've got 13 crossbows here. I don't know. Blid is just so starved for gold here. He does not know what to do. He's switching to the longbows now.
So Dragevann has decided to try and end the game now. But I was about to say, Imp is kind of free here for the Byzantines.
Imp is free, but he, like, you're sitting on your opponent's forward gold. You know he has no access. Yeah. You know the only option for him to really get out of that, because you have mass armored units, is to sell their food and then go Imperial. This is a lot of fire ramps. What were you saying about the bonk thing earlier?
Well, because here's the thing. If you have one that sets itself on fire, it's a liability. But if you have 20, that's just more fire to spread. Here we go. Now on the move out, keep drop coming in from Blid, but he might be about to drop in the farming department here because those Cryo-Siphons are super effective at torching down the back farms. Instead, he's going off the landmarks. In here. And oh my god, he doesn't even wait around. GG instantly called Dragevann on the form today, makes it 2-0 already, one game away from continuous journey and putting Blid in the grave.
Yeah, impressive stuff here. Like his army count just went up and up and up. Usually I see English matching that, but I'm not sure Blid realized until it was too late that his gold is all forward there.
Now, I think, you know, well done, good credit to him, but something I did notice on both sides is a little bit concerning. Is both players did seem to miss macro a bit, right? There's a lot of food being floated on both sides. You know, it doesn't seem to be hurting Dragavann's trend here. I'm a bit worried there's maybe a few players watching right now and taking note of that. So I think the way that, if Dragevann can make this a 3-0, the best way he can finish this off, next game, clean macro feed, barely anything being held in reserve, right? Because we've seen some players hold things like wood, because wood always feels good. Make a farm transition, make new buildings, make walls. Food is always that thing you want to pump, because you can very easily get more organic units to play the game.